She's uncovered everything, basically, when it comes to all the receipts on how it all is connected. Everybody, every person you could think of inside of these politicians and these Hollywood actors and these religious people and religious leaders, even the big ones I'm talking about, they are all in cahoots. And it does, I want to just use Ebonics, it do be. Those same crazy passions and desires, especially when you were young, you've seen too much Menace to Society, or you've watched The Devil's Advocate 4 or 5 times, and you decide you want to be a part of this. And then, you start accelerating through the ranks, and then all of a sudden things start ending up not in the way you expected. It always happens. There's so many people, because it can't. The reality is when you're hooked on vices, and then you have a whole group of degenerates encouraging you to continue to do them, it can't go well. It defies like math. At some point, it's going to catch up. And so that's why a lot of people, including some of the most powerful people you see around you, have gotten themselves caught up in something very deep. Now, there is a large group of them who never gave a shit in the first place. They don't contain much of the God particle, if you may. They're not really asking the question why I'm here and letting that denote how they carry on. They just carry on with the same genetics of really their ancestors. And this is what was also disclosed inside of Sybil, was the ancestors of many of the beings here on earth were naturally violent themselves. They call them Utugal, right? They got named Gilgal, this kind of name, Gugu, these kind of beings. They were naturally, like, if you see certain demeanors of certain animals, they say that they were elder dragons in that way, master dragon, right? Well, the jury's still out on that. But the reality is that they were very aggressive beings. And in that way, they're just back again in the same bodies, that same MS-13 that be trafficking even the younger Guatemalans and all of that. They're just those old, crazy Mayan kings that was sacrificing people, because it's the same DNA. Nothing is actually really changed. We got to choose to change it. So if you want the receipts so you stop drinking the Kool-Aid, or your friends stop drinking the Kool-Aid, and they need the receipts for you to prove to them once and for all that they should not be going to no voting booths to put their 2-dimensional imprint of themselves, which is their signature, on any papers, agreeing to a bunch of writing and stuff and pledging allegiance to some pentagrams. It's not a good idea right now. And doing it is going to catch you up short, especially in this next segment. It's almost like a guarantee you won't make it, because you've already given away your energy and your power into something that is really trying to make it. And they don't care if they step on your head and step on your face, your neck, your mama, and everybody in order to make it, right? That's just what it is. That's been the experience since we got here. And until it shows me something different, I'm not going to believe anything different. Now, I will see a greater world and a greater vision, and I will also bring that into my own personal space, but I will not be naive, and nor will I allow my family to be naive about what is really taking place. So again, that you can benefit. So if you need to know all the names and you're a detailed person and you don't like, also this is on Audible, okay? Because this is volume 1, there's a volume 2. This is a 700-page book. So if you're already one of those people that got a bunch of 700-page books on your shelf that you haven't read thinking you smart, don't do it. Go to Audible, buy you 2 credits, and go ahead and listen to the voiceover and get it through there, and you'll get enough after about 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on your threshold, okay? The next thing is to understand this. So let's go ahead and keep opening this up, because I'm almost done here. So here's another thing. Let's just I'm going to be on different points here, because you can choose to talk about any of these points when you jump in. Remember that there is still tribes right now that are just coming out of the forest. Like, meaning that they haven't even really come in contact with what you would call advanced civilization. Chicago, New York, okay? And so it's very important for you to understand that from the deepest levels of the scholars, and there's been a lot coming forward that have broken down even the Judeo-Christian tradition and bought the original text and begin to interpret them just directly as they are, shows alarming evidence that basically what people who were recording then were recording as an event of some people basically flying around in vehicles Whether they look like UFOs or not is not even like necessary. They have a common description of most of our planes and jets, okay, how they move around in some of the vehicles, right? And so this has risen to a lure of things like angels with eyes on all sides and a bunch of stuff that if it really did exist, it would be here helping humanity right now. When you look at the accounts of what's really being suggested is that there were advanced people here thousands of years ago still, right? But the reason why I'm bringing this up about uncontacted Amazon tribes is if these people or beings or whatever they were just chose to stay in their part of the world, you would never know anything about them. You would be just like these people right here who are coming out right now. Now imagine this is 2024. So what do you think was going on 2,000 years ago? If you were way back up in here with your tribe, you never knew what was going on beyond the end of the world. And I'm telling you that based on even what you can see in Angkor Wat, even Egypt is really light work. But the way in which these stones are being carved, not necessarily moved around, but being carved at their hardness level is impossible unless you got some real stuff. Now, some people that they doing magic. The thing is that we need to level out sometimes and just realize that, listen, it's just accept one thing. They had advanced stuff, but also realize other people coming in contact with that is just going to write like some crazy stuff. Like fire was coming from his face. He came with a cloud of smoke. When anybody was in front of it, they were burnt up. They're just going to describe it as it sound like a screeching hawk. The whole sky was like thundering. Yahweh inside of his ship with the glass on top looking forward from the cherubim. But now these days, this for us means, oh my goodness, these are advanced beings. And that's exactly what it meant like for them. But I'm telling y'all need to get aware and awake to what is really happening because you've had enough time to transpire to know if any of these beings were really good for humanity, they would be helping us. They would be revealing themselves, right? They would be aligned with helping us deal with a situation that is so clear you wouldn't need advanced intelligence to see it, but they are not. So that means that now it falls into that other category, like what is the objective and what is it really? So let's keep going. So again, even in the Hindu texts do tell you consistently that there are advanced beings and they got flying craft. So at the end of the day, you're either going to take the word for the same scriptures that you keep reading and accepting, even from your practices and spiritual practices and meditation and what they say, or you're just going to be oblivious to that, hey, we had ancient tribes here, but somebody else was also here that had advanced technology. Also, when you go to Africa, they tell you, hey, inside of the ocean, there's another civilization there. And all the advanced technology we have on our planet, it comes from there. That's what they say. That's their accounts of the cities of the jinn and the cities of the mer spirits and the cities of the water spirits, right? But then y'all be thinking, okay, that's too spiritual and too occult. Okay, so let's stop there. Let's go here to this book. This is a book that you should also check. Actually, this one, you could just take my word for it because it is a bit dry. But again, if you like this kind of stuff and you want the receipts, grab The Pentagon's Brain by Annie Jacobsen, because this is going to tie into why I have as my headliner, which at this stage, some will think it's clickbait, which is AGI achieved, right? Because if you've been following the tech space at all with AI, you know that AGI is the next stage that they want to reach, this automated general intelligence, which basically means it's like a human. It can comprehend like a human. It doesn't really need, consistent programming and service and all that kind of stuff. And it can do logical reasoning by itself, et cetera, et cetera. This is AGI. And they're saying, hey, we haven't reached AGI yet. And then there's supposed to be one after that, right? They'd already scheduled up the keywords and the names and the venture capital for ASI, which is automated superintelligence. But here's what I'm here to tell these people who think that they're smart. This is why it's just like weird. Common sense is smarter than some of the smartest people in the world. Get it? In the Pentagon's Brain, it lays out how DARPA is always 10 years ahead in technology before they ever release any of this shit to the populace. It's so important. They will drop a bunker buster on you if you come up with something that they haven't found yet. Because they need to test it before they release it into these sensitive matrices, which you can spoil the whole world by one human flying in a movie theater or at the halftime show. Do you know what I mean? So this is a very fragile matrix. So they got to police a lot of this. So nothing gets released unless it's been checked through and they do the math on it, they do the patterns on it, and they see the anomalies that it's going to create, and they determine if that's going to be good or not good for Jabulan's matrix, okay? And in that way, if I told any technical advisor, if I asked them, do you think we would achieve AGI in 10 years? They would laugh at me because they would insist that it's in less than 3. Some say less than 1. But again, they're idiots. It's already here. We have a technology that is slated for our world to arrive in about 5 years called AGI. But here, DARPA admits directly, and when you see all the stuff that they're involved in, you'll sit down for a minute and have a tea and light some sage. Because it shows they're already 10 years ahead, so they're already at ASI. So that's what I mean by when you start noticing glitches in the matrix and reality shifts and people changing and acting weird and all that, you got to learn to stay the course, because you got to understand that they have always been operating with a much more advanced level of interaction with this reality.